After watching season 6 and even rewatching season 4 and 5 of Cobra Kai, I just now only begin to realize how bad the writers massacred my GOAT Kenny Payne. Cobra Kai writers, count your days, because what were you thinking for giving Kenny a brown belt instead of a spot for the Tekai, or Sekai Tekai, whatever the tournament was called? Before I even start ranting, let me break down where Kenny was before this season. Kenny was first introduced as the nice kid who really meant no harm to anyone, which, as we know in any show with drama, this is bully material number 1. And who better to use this material than the son of Daniel LaRusso? Yeah, the Karate Kid's son is now pretty much putting a kid similar to what his father went through in Karate Kid 1. Only this time, Kenny didn't have a Miyagi. This eventually leads into him deciding to join Cobra Kai in order to gain some control in his life, and he'd find none other than Robbie, who not only went to juvie with his brother, but even applied the same mentality Kenny is now applying, but back in juvie. Kenny would channel all this anger and convert it into strength, leading into him gaining confidence along with some cool friends. But due to being in the middle of a karate war, even just wearing a Cobra Kai shirt gets him bullied by the likes of Nate and Bert of all people. And this kind of shifts Hawk back into a bully role with him picking on Kenny, which would push Robbie and Hawk's rivalry in this season, with Kenny getting some type of get back since Robbie would manage to shave Hawk's head, along with Kenny getting the jump on Anthony in the library. So far, Cobra Kai has been the one consistently good thing in Kenny's life, which unfortunately means it's very likely for him to be steered down the wrong path, which unfortunately is the case. With the likes of Terry Silver getting a hold of Robbie, which would then get a hold on Kenny, all this anger and rage he'd been building up would start to control him, leading into him lashing out in the middle of the All Valley against Lapusso, showing that Kenny has changed for the worse. He'd say Anthony's only beginning to feel a world of pain before then cheering for Robbie to defeat Hawk and show no mercy. This is what ultimately keeps Robbie from getting the point, as he's tired of letting hate consume his life and he doesn't want that for Kenny. With that said, Robbie would leave Cobra Kai and try to get Kenny to also do the same thing, as he doesn't want him to get brainwashed. But due to Robbie leaving so suddenly, especially after their All Valley win, Kenny believes Robbie is betraying him. Which, I mean, he has every right to. He was the one encouraging Kenny to join, and now all of a sudden he wants to leave. Kenny being in Cobra Kai sees this as a weakness, and with Robbie gone, Cobra Kai now needs a new powerhouse, which leads into none other than Terry Silver himself taking him under his wing and even teaching him the same method of fighting he taught Daniel, which, as we know from Karate Kid 3, is the Quicksilver method, and this resulted in Kenny becoming way more aggro, leading into him literally taking Hawk and Robbie's prep away, and even when they were doing a prep match that Hawk wasn't going all out in, he was fighting dirty. And even when Silver was exposed and Robbie was trying to hold Kenny back from fighting, he didn't even want to hear any of it and use the silver bullet anyway. Now, after this, Kenny would hesitate, but of course Miguel would come in to humble him before Kenny could do anything else. After this, Cobra Kai is seemingly destroyed, and with the old students either moving into Miyagi-Do or, like Kenny, just staying on their own, Kenny, despite Silver's defeat, is still holding onto all of this aggression and embracing Cobra Kai's main 3 rules, which even to his brother sounds really stupid. Now, in season 6, Sean comes back, which leads into him seeing what kind of man Kenny is becoming, and seeing his own brother being brainwashed by Cobra Kai, and seeing the likes of Robbie who respects him, and Sean seeing his brother not only being brainwashed by Cobra Kai, but also seeing the likes of Robbie who respects him, not trying to really fight Kenny at all, shows Sean that Kenny is going down the wrong path, and he doesn't want him to end up in the same position that he was in, which leads into Kenny questioning what side he's on and who he really is. The two then hug it out, with Kenny then deciding to join up with Miyagi-Do, and this is where season 6 starts to kind of hit a downfall, because after this moment, Kenny and Robbie don't share a single scene with one another. Now, the problem with this is that Robbie is literally Kenny's teacher and is pretty much his equivalent to Miyagi. So the fact that not only do these guys never talk again, but Robbie even has like no reaction to Kenny shitting himself is actually insane. And speaking of, the fact that Devin pulled this off on Kenny, honestly, like, oh my god, bro, why are you here, bro? I get it, she was introduced in season 3 and she was a cult character in season 5, but the fact that Kenny doesn't even get a spot to fight, bro. And to make matters worse, he just gets embarrassed by everybody and thinks it's now Anthony who did it, which is probably going to lead into him finding out that it's Devin and maybe him joining Cobra Kai. That's what a lot of people are theorizing, but I'm not very sure if he would easily join like that. The thing is, Kenny would be enraged, so it would be pretty easy for Kreese to come in and take advantage, saying that he was his original sensei, he's the one who taught him the way of the fist, blah blah blah, which would then lead into Tori and and Kenny then fighting off the likes of Robbie, Miguel, and the other fighters, which I think could be cool because we could get a legit fight with Hawk and Kenny, or maybe Kenny versus Robbie. Seeing how far Kenny has actually come with his karate, and remember, he would be not only enraged, but he'd be embracing Cobra Kai, which literally just channels rage into power. So with a hypothetical Tori and Kenny being emotionally amped in the Sekai Tekai, it's going to be interesting to see where they would stack up against the likes of Miguel, Robbie, Sam, and Hawk. And I did not mention Dimitri and Devin because fuck Dimitri and Devin. I don't know what they were doing in season 6, but my god, screw both of you, man. Anywho, Kenny did not, I mean, under any circumstances, did not deserve to go through what he went through this season. And I really hope part 2, please, part 2, redeem my goat. Please, man. Watch him try and fight Hawk, and he's going to throw a kick and then poop himself, and he's just going to get it disqualified. Watch.